in front of the entire Muslim Ummah, this was announced. On 30th Hijri, Imam Ali's Khilafat takes place after the three Shaykhain. And he passes away on 19th of Ramzan, 36 years after Hijri. On 657 CE, Imam Ali, when he became Caliph, he shifted the capital from Medina to Kufa. And then Imam Ali is martyred on 41 Hijri, which is more or less, we would say, 11 years he was in power. The Battle of Karbala takes place in 680 CE. The entire event, from the birth of the Prophet to the martyrdom of Karbala, please concentrate and see what I'm trying to say. It was within 100 years that Karbala had to take place. The Prophet passed away in 632 CE. Within 50 to 55 years, there came a point in which Imam Hussain achieved martyrdom. What were the reasons? What happened? 50 years is nothing. It's not even 2 generations. What led to this? The Prophet passes away, he announces the successor, and then the grandson of the Prophet rises against an oppressor, a tyrant known as Yazid, Lanatullah. What really happened? We will try and seek to understand why Karbala took place and what happened in Karbala in our second presentation. In our first presentation, we will try and analyze the sources through which we should and understand Karbala. It's very essential that we know who were the individuals, the narrators who wrote this beautiful event, a fact of Islam. Who wrote it? Some Muslims say that A'udhu Imam Hussain was a traitor, that he did Bagawat against the present Caliph. Some Muslims say that he simply migrated from Medina to another place and was stopped in Karbala. Does that really make sense? What really happened? We will try and analyze what happened today, inshallah. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So to achieve an understanding, we need to understand what primary sources really are. Primary source is a document or physical object which was written or created during the time under study. These sources were present during an experience or time period and offer an inside view of a particular event. For instance, poets. You can analyze through poetry as to what was the culture at that time. We can analyze through the clothing, through the architecture that we have in today's day and age, how people thought, what kind of thinking they had, who were the people the Prophet and the Imams were dealing with. It is through these sources that we can analyze the atmosphere of that era. And also by the teachings, the writings of the narrators who were physically present during the time of the Prophet and during the time of Imam Hussain AS. What are secondary sources? Secondary sources are sources which are understood through primary sources. For instance, publications, history. Tibri was born centuries after Imam Hussain achieved martyrdom in Karbala. But he is used as a main source for the narration of Karbala. For example, Allama Naqan, Sahab Shahid Insaniyat, mainly his research depends on the study of Tibri. His analysis is absolutely beautiful. But if you read that book, you will see Tibri pretty much on every page of that book. It's a secondary source. It's a secondary source. When we talk about Maqtal of Imam Hussain, a very famous Maqtal that I'm sure we've all heard of is the Maqtal of Abi Mikhnaf. It is also a secondary source. There's no harm in it, but we need to understand what are primary sources and what are secondary sources. Because Abi Mikhnaf was not physically present during Karbala. He was not an eyewitness of Karbala. Now, primary sources of Karbala. I'm going to read out a couple of names who we consider as primary sources of Karbala, who our ulama have said that these are primary sources because it was after them that Karbala as a history really started being narrated and started being collected as history. Azbad bin Nabata, an eyewitness of Karbala. Jabir ibn Yazid Jofi, Umar ibn Mawiyah, Hussam ibn Qalbi, Abi Mikhnaf, Awam bin Hakam, Waqdi, Nasr bin Muzahim, and Madaini. Moving forward, these are the kind of names, the reason why I'm discussing these names with you is so that we are well acquainted with these personalities. At least we should know their names. Most of their books are not present with us in today's day and age, but their names are found in other books as references which were used by secondary sources. So it's very essential that we know about these personalities. We need to know about the people who sacrificed their life and their time so that Karbala could actually reach us in today's day and age. A loud salawat for all these personalities.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum.
Now, Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari narrated the story of Karbala, and most of his history is based on the study of Abi Mikhnaf. Most of his history is based on Abi Mikhnaf. And he reported this through Hisham ibn Qalbi in his history of the prophets and the kings. Al-Baraduri and Ibn Kathir narrated from Abi Mikhnaf as well. Although in essence and in theory Abi Mikhnaf is a secondary source, but since this was the only source available to us in writing, it is considered a primary source by the ulama. And ulama like Sheikh Mufid in Irshad uses Abi Mikhnaf as a source of reference and has used Tibri as well as a source of reference. Now, as I said previously, that it is extremely essential that we understand that what we are reading, what we are listening, what we are understanding, what reference does that have? How do you analyze a certain reference? What's a sanad? I, 10 years back, maybe had no idea what a sanad really is. But it is extremely essential for all of us to understand these things. As it is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Ahqaf, O Muhammad, have you considered that which you invoke besides Allah? Show me what they have created of the earth. Or did they have partnership in creation of the heavens? Bring me a scripture revealed before this, or a remaining trace of knowledge, if you should be truthful. Reference. The concept of reference is extremely essential in our religion. The isnad is from the religion. Not for isnad, anyone could say anything they wanted. Isnad is extremely essential. Or anyone could come in and say whatever they feel like, and we would deem that fit for our religion. Would we say that this is something authentic? No, of course not. You have to provide some form of reference. You have to provide a sanad. If you are saying that the Prophet said this, then there has to be a chain of narrators through which you will say that the Prophet really did say this. That narrator, those narrators will be analyzed and checked. There is an entire study, an entire science that is devoted to the subject. According to Ibn Saleh, the sanad originated within the Muslim scholastic community and remains unique to it. It is extremely essential that this is something extremely unique, the science of Rijal. The Jews and the Christians had their books, their Gospels. But when historians and Orientalists go and study religion, the religion of Christianity and the religion of Judaism, they say that this is belief, this is not history. Their entire narration is not based on historical facts, but is actually based on simple belief and faith. But they cannot say the same about Islam and Islamic history.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Islamic history has been well recorded. For example, no one can argue over the fact whether Badr took place or not. No one can argue over the fact whether Uhud took place or not. Yes, you might have historical arguments over the fact that how many were martyred in Uhud or how many were martyred in Badr, which companions supported the Prophet, which companions were hypocrites. That difference might be there. But As far as history is concerned, it is known history. It is there. Because we have a science. We prove this through a science. The science of narrators, the science of Rijal. Now there are five kinds of sources when we talk about Rijal. There are five things that we need to keep in mind. One is a Sahih Hadith, five types of Hadith. Hasan Hadith, which is good. Zaif Hadith, which is weak. Maudu Hadith, and a Mutawatir Hadith. There are only 63 Mutawatir Hadiths in the for the Muslims. Only 53. We'll discuss what Mutawatir Hadith is in a few minutes. Salawat please.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajah.
Now, what is a Hasan Hadith? There are certain criteria that are set by Imam Tirmidhi, who is considered an authority on the science of Hadith by Muslims. Its chain of transmitters is continuous and there is no missing person in the chain of narrators. If you are saying that this hadith is by Imam Jafar Sadiq
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad
and is being narrated by Ibn Azam, for instance, the chain of narrators from Ibn Azam to Imam Jafar Sadiq need to be there. If there is a break in that chain, immediately that hadith will be considered to be not Sahih or Hasan. It will be Zaif. There is a gap in between. Second, the narrators are God-fearing, trustworthy in their religion with righteous conduct. They are adil. Even if all the narrators are there, we will then see every narrator. Were they adil or not? What was their character? What was the opinion of the people at that time about them? If you suspect a single person to be unjust, that hadith is also kept aside. The narrators, did they have a good memory? Were they considered people of good memory or not? Was this hadith isolated? Is it something out of the ordinary? Something that's believable? That would be believable to a reasonable person? Both categories of Sahih and Hasan Hadith are used as a proof and are acted upon, are considered Sahih. Now, the previous Hadith that we studied was Hasan. Now we're talking about Sahih Hadith. A slight difference. The chain of transmitters is continuous and there is not missing person in the chain of narrators. Narrators are God-fearing, trustworthy in their religion with righteous conduct. Narrators are of accurate instruction.